and welcome to episode 21 of the Breaking Yarn podcast. My name is Mikaylee, I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and this is my podcast where I talk about my knitting, my crocheting, and my yarn dyeing. You can find me online at breakingyarn.com or anywhere on social media at Breaking Yarn. Today is Sunday, November 7th, 2021. So I have two finished objects to share with you, a project half done and one other whip, I guess. So I have two whips, two projects done, a project from the community to share with you today, a small shop update for Breaking Yarn, and I also chose a new winner for the giveaway from episode 18, I believe. So stick around for me to I'm just going to announce it right now. So I never heard from Sandy, and she was the original winner. So the new winner of the project bag, this is what it is. This is a knitting project bag from Fate's Threads. It's a small bag and it has drawstrings. And it has a bunch of different knitting words and phrases and stuff on it. And I want to give it away to somebody. So I chose a new winner from episode 18. So if you commented what you loved about fall on episode 18, I picked another winner. So you had another chance to win. And the person that won is Stacy Sinkowski. So Stacy, if you see this episode, please email me breakingyarn@gmail.com and let me know that you won the project bag from Fate's Threads, and I will get that shipped out to you. I will, if I don't hear from Stacy by next episode, which is in 2 weeks, I will choose, I actually already picked a third winner just in case I don't hear from you, Stacy. So if I hear from Stacy, great, you'll be the winner and I will ship the project bag out to you. If I don't hear from Stacy by the next time I film, which is in 2 weeks, I will announce the third pick winner that I already chose, or that I'd already picked randomly. Okay, so congratulations, Stacy. Please email me. And let's go. So my first finished objects are my Arethusa Falls socks. I knit these for the two cowls I knit these for. One is the Arethusa Falls knit along, and that was hosted by Lauren of Granite State Yarns. This is her pattern. And I also used her yarn for this. It's called Berry Pickin, and it's from her shop. And it's just a lovely pink and purples and whites and speckles. Lots of fun. I loved the texture on this sock. I did the size medium, which is 64 stitches. And the second knit along that I entered these into was for the spooky season stitch along with Allison M. Clark. And I did not win a prize from that one, but I did win the Arethusa Falls knit along prize from Lauren. So I was so excited. It was a $25 gift card to her shop, Granite State Yarns. And I already spent it. I got myself a mystery winter box. So I had my eye on one of those, and because I won the gift card, it made it a little bit more affordable for me to do that option. So I'm excited to get the winter mystery box from Lauren of Granite State Yarns. I will share here on my podcast acquisitions section when the time comes when I get it, and after the surprise is already spoiled and all, I will share what it looks like because it's a mystery, so I don't know. But she said the inspiration was snowflake. So we'll have to see what that means color inspiration wise. But yeah, so that's what my Arethusa Falls socks look like. I made these a semi-shorty. I did 20 rounds for the cuff, and I believe it ended up being 20 rounds for the leg as well, which was 5 repeats worth. And then I started the heel flap, heel turn and gusset and all that stuff, and then I worked on the foot. And I haven't been counting how many rounds I'm doing on my foot. I've only been trying the sock on. So I try it on, and then until it is over my little pinky toe, that's when I start my toe. For me, that's been working out really well. And I haven't had any socks that don't fit. So yeah, but those are fun. And my first finished object. Okay, so my second finished object is my Stickling sweater. This was a test knit for Gabz of Slip Slip Sis, and I actually steeked this sweater. So there's a lot to say about this sweater. For one, let me tell you about the yarn before I unbutton it and tell you more. This yarn is Marie Schrader in my Swish worsted base. That's the back of it. And so it's a really pretty purple, but it has like these like pink undertones. And I just love it. I used a little over 1 skein for this. This is for my 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old. And the pattern was created so that you can learn how to do steeking, which is where you knit in the round. And then you add in some steeks, which you can do by crocheting or with a sewing machine. And I chose to do it by the crocheting. And I followed a few tutorials on it as well. And I also did my first attempt live on Instagram last weekend. So if you saw that, I'm sorry. It was awful. It did not go well. I did not get my steeks in the right place. And I think that's where my trouble was. I thought I was getting them right, and then it just kept looking wrong, and I couldn't figure it out. And my friend Lisa was here, and she had never done it before too at the time. So we were kind of both like trying to figure out what the tutorials were saying and what I was doing and what was wrong and what the difference was. But anyways, I ended up putting the sweater in timeout for a little bit because I was a little frustrated at the end of it because I had done the steeks like over 2 times, and it didn't work. So I put it to the side, took a breather. Lisa so sweetly knit some swatches the next day on Sunday and practiced steeking herself so that she could figure out how to help me. And she figured it out, of course, because that's what great knitting friends do. And she's just amazing. So she figured out how to do it, and then I went over to her house and she figured out where I went off on my putting in my steeks for the crocheting before you cut the yarn. And so I just took out both of the steeks that I had done the day before when I had put it away, because it was in timeout and I was frustrated with it. And then we figured it out where I'm supposed to put my steeks. She helped me. She said it helped a lot to put like progress keepers or something to like mark which rows so you don't veer off or get off track or anything when you're doing the crocheting part. And that did help a lot. So we put them in. I did 1 steek, took out one side of the progress keepers as I went, and then I did the other side taking out those progress keepers as I went, and my steeks looked beautiful. They were very different. I saved some stories on my Instagram highlights for steeking. So also for anybody who's curious about it, but also as a reference to myself so I can remember what it looks like. Because I did notice that a couple of the tutorials, they look different. So one of them from Very Pink Knits, she had like a column of tan, and then she had red stitches on either side. And when she picked it up and she did her steeks, she actually had 1/2 of a red, the tan, and 1/2 of a red in between her steeks. But it looked like it was just one row, even though it was really 2 split up. And then the tutorial from Tin Can Knits online, she has like a blog post about how to steek. Her picture looks like there's no stitches in between, and it's just the 2 steeks like lined up together. And so it was really throwing me off because I'm like, well, I shouldn't be able to see the stitches in between, but the Very Pink Knits one, you can see technically 4 legs in between the steeking. So long story short, I would say watch the Very Pink Knits tutorial if you're gonna do steeking. It's a lot more clear than the Tin Can Knits one. For me, at least. This is totally opinion based. But anyways, so I got my steeks in. I was able to cut the yarn. It's not perfect, you know, like I had steeked it like at this point 3 times already. So my yarn was like kind of a little stretched and whatever, but it worked out. Here it is as a cardigan. That's my steeking. The white is the steeking, but this is a cardigan that I made for my daughter for her birthday. She's gonna be 2 soon, and I wanted her to have a little cardigan to wear for pictures. Let me see, one thing I designed these little wooden buttons. They have stockinette stitch on them. I don't know, it's not really showing up that great. I'll have to insert a picture of them closer up here, but I designed them, and then I had a friend of mine who does wood printing print them for me, and so I used those on her sweater, and I thought that just added something so special, you know, something unique and special that not everyone would have. But yes, this pattern, I'm not sure exactly when it comes out yet, but it's called the Stickling Sweater, and it's so that you can learn how to do steeking on a small project instead of doing it on a large project. And I will say at the end of last Saturday, after my live and the steeking didn't go well, I was like, I don't know if I ever want to do this again. But then after doing it on Sunday and realizing what the error was and making the corrections and then actually doing it, I was like, okay, it's actually not that bad, and I could probably do it again on a larger project. So I am keeping an open mind for steeking next time, and I will not let a pattern that requires steeking to deter me from doing it. And I do think it would be a better option rather than knitting flat panels and then having to sew up. I do think steeking is a good option and an alternative to be able to do that. So anyways, that's a long story. This is my Stickling sweater. It's all done. I finished the test knit. I was able to do it. I was a little nervous that after the steeking thing that I wasn't going to be able to even finish the sweater or like finish it the way that it's supposed to be finished. But I did. My daughter will wear it. I'll get some pictures. It'll be cute. Anyways, that was a long story. Okay, so my project half done is something you haven't seen yet. This is in my I Am the One Who Knits bag. And I have this in a huge bag because it's a lot of yarn. I don't know if you can see, no, it's too dark. I have all my scraps, and they're all like messy too. So I have pink teddy bear in Swish DK. These are all in Swish DK. This is Hazmat suit. This is Crystal Meth. This one is Marie Schrader, like the sweater. And this is Walter White. And lastly, I have this one, which is Gray Matter, and this one is in a sock DK base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this one's Gray Matter, and it's in a yarn cozy from Danielle of Midwest Stitches, which just as a small side review, I love this. I used one for the yarn that I used while knitting the Steekling, and I was able to do center pull, and I've learned two things. Let me just quickly tell you what I learned. So if you want to do center pull and you are like me, I tried to do center pull and I would always end up with yarn barf, and it was always like a big ordeal to unwind it, and I hated spending my knitting time unwinding yarn and like trying to get some out so that I could keep going. So I kind of was like, I'm giving up on center pull and I'm just going to do outer pull, but I figured out the trick, I think. So for me, step number one is when you're winding your yarn with your ball winder, if that's how you wind your yarn. Well, if you're doing center pull, I think you have to do it that way. But anyways, so if you're doing center pull, you have to make sure that when you're winding, it doesn't skip at all. And what I mean by skipping is like, so you're winding, and then sometimes the yarn will be like, I don't know, it kind of just like bounces around a little bit. And when that happens, the yarn goes like underneath the ball winder, like here's the cake of yarn, and it's like under here. And it's bad if you want to do center pull and you leave it like that, because when you're pulling from the center, it's going to end up, eventually you're going to have to take that yarn that skipped and it's going to get tangled with everything else. So what I've learned is that you need to back up. Like, I have an electric ball winder, so I stop winding. I physically, like, manually moved the ball winder back until before the skipping, and then I go slower. And I make sure that it stays on the actual cake of yarn. So that's step number one. I think that's like essential. If you have any skipping, it's not going to work. You should probably just do outer pull, and even outer pull may give you some issues if there's a lot of skipping involved. The second thing is that I used these yarn cozies from Danielle of Midwest Stitches, like I said, and these are perfect. They're fabric sewn up, and they're kind of like I don't know, spandexy kind of. Like it definitely has some stretch to it, so it forms to your cake of yarn. So like here's a bigger cake, and it fits that one fine, like perfectly fine. And then as it gets smaller, as your cake dwindles down because you're using it, the cozy like also dwindles down to like save it, so it kind of like shrinks in and like holds your yarn still and steady, which I think is really important for center pull too. And I know there are patterns where you can knit yarn cozies, but it doesn't seem too exciting to me to knit personally. So I am super happy with these fabric ones that I picked up from Midwest Stitches. So that's my small little review on that. Let me show you the project half done, and you'll know why I'm talking about all this. So I got a little obsessed when I knit my Beak Street tee and my zebra socks that I had matching. I kind of was like, oh, I want all of my socks to match sweaters that I've made. So I knit this DK weight sock. So these will probably be for more like around the house and not so much like in shoes. But I made these to look like my painting brick sweater that I made earlier this year. It's on the podcast, maybe the first like 1 to 2 episodes, I think, is when I finished my painting brick sweater. But so I just made this up. Okay, so I did use the vanilla sock, vanilla DK weight sock pattern by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady to get how many stitches to cast on. And I also used it for how many stitches to do on the heel flap, and then how many rounds to do on the toe. And so I did use that pattern for those elements, just for the numbers on those certain things that you need to know. And then this I made up from my painting bricks sweater that I know. And I only did the texture on the top. So I did it all the way around on the leg. So it's like this really, right? It's like 1 brick, 2 half bricks, 1 brick, 2 half bricks, like that. But on the back, it's also there on the leg. And then on the foot, I only did it on the top of the foot. So it's literally just 1 brick, 2 half bricks, 1 brick, 2 half bricks. And then on the bottom, I just did straight stockinette so that it would be flat on the ground and not have like, I'm not walking on pearls and bumps, or pearl bumps, yeah. Pearl bumps, yeah. Because these are knits and pearls together that make the bump ridges. So yeah, the pattern for the painting bricks sweater is from Stephen West from West Knits. I'm sure you've heard of him, maybe. If not, wow, you should probably figure out who he is. He has like over 300 patterns, which is crazy, but so cool too. Yeah, so I just adapted the pattern for these socks and I finished my first one. They went really fast, but also I was able to just kind of sit down and work on them one evening after going for a walk with Lisa. I sat down, I think I was here before my walk, and I did a couple of stripes and I was ready to start the heel after the walk, and then I sat down and watched some TV in the evening and knit like quite a bit more. And then I think the next night worked on 1 or 2, maybe 3 more stripes, and then did the toe. And all my ends are woven in. That's one of my requirements for it being done, right? Yeah, and I did a twisted rib as well to match the sweater design, and I'll insert a picture of my painting bricks sweater here so that you can see what it looks like. But yeah, I'm excited for those. I need to cast on the second DK weight sock, and I'm excited. I'm using all the scraps from my sweater minus the sock DK base and gray matter, because I didn't actually have any gray matter left, and I also wanted it to be the sturdiness of the sock. So I used the gray for the contrast. I guess contrast, it's the main color, but the cuff, heel, and toe. So that's that. I have one last whip that I'm working on, you've seen before, is the Perfectionist Trap from Kacey Herlihy. She is Kacey Knits on Instagram. And I am knitting this out of Heisenberg in Swish DK. So it's a really simple texture. And I just love it with the black and the green and the way it's pulled a little bit in certain areas. You can see it a little bit more. But otherwise it stayed pretty even, which is cool. And I am using my Progress Keeper. I am the one who knits. I still have some of those in my shop. Those would make great stocking stuffers if you have a knitter in your life that you are putting together a stocking for, or you could put it in your own. Yeah, but I was knitting this for the Kacey Knit Shawl knit along, and it ended in October, so I'm really far off on that. But I actually only have this and the other sock on, and that's not even on my needles technically right now. But those are the only two whips that I have currently. So I should be able to get those done soonish. And I'm on my second skein of the Heisenberg. So it's moving along. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. All right, two more things left. I have a finished object from the community to share with you. These are Sweetheart Fingerless Mitts by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. And these were knit by Ruth, and she used sock fingering in Breaking Black, and she knit these as a Christmas gift for her daughter-in-law, which I just loved how they looked, and I wanted to share those with you. So thank you, Ruth, for sharing your finished object with the community and allowing me to share it here, so that we can all admire your work. I love it. Okay, the last thing I have is I wanted to share with you a new product that I have in my shop, breakingyarn.com. This is a keychain with the Kitchener stitch instructions on it. It's the size of my palm, so it's, I believe it's 2 inches. It's 2 inches by a little over 2 inches this way. And it's a wooden keychain, and it has the Kitchener instructions on it, and then it has my Breaking Yarn logo on the back of it. And I designed this to be like the, I learned what it's called, Erlenmeyer flask. I just put beaker, but yeah, so it's a little flask shape, so it's kind of reminiscent of the Breaking Bad theme, since they use these in the show. And so these also make great stocking stuffers, and they're in the shop right now. I have them listed for $7.50, so if you want to get one of those, go and check those out. They're really fun, and I use this every time I get to the toe because I can never remember which ones to do knitwise, which ones to do purlwise. So the keychain really helps with that. But thank you so much for joining me today for episode 21 of the Breaking Yarn podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.